Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the last Epoch dev stream. My name is Mike, and I'm your host. I know today might be a little bit quieter in here than usual, just because there might be something else happening somewhere in the RPG space. I don't know what that might be, But every Friday we do this, and so we are going to keep doing it every Friday. So everyone is here, glad to have you with us. Everyone who's watching on YouTube tomorrow, glad to have you watching on YouTube tomorrow. Or Twitch, I guess. Today we do have a special guest with us that will be joining us shortly. And that's going to be Dan Stanson. Just going to get him sorted out and joining here any second now.
Hello.
Hi, Dan. Welcome to the stream. We'll get his camera up.
Leaks for you. No leaks for you, Zola.
You got it. You got to share your camera on Discord. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Wave hello to the fine folks at home. So yeah, I'm gonna just keep trucking through the last ruined monolith here, and Dan is a big part of our multiplayer development, leads that charge. So and we just put out a ton of information on that. So I figured Dan would be a good person to have on the stream, because people probably have some questions regarding the regarding that and everything. And
yeah, hey guys. Nice to kind of tune in here. I'm always watching it every week, but I figured if there's going to be questions related to kind of the multiplayer posts and breakdowns, that I'd come in. So more details about me. I started with 11th Hour Games as a game designer. I'm the producer now. I work mostly, trying to keep the production on time and on schedule, keeping the teams addressing the different risks we have, trying to set up plans for dealing with the risks, keeping all that stuff coordinated. I still do. I'm still involved with a lot of the game design decision making too. So, for example, multiplayer, I'm putting a lot of my thought, my brain power into that now. And I did write the multiplayer post, so I figured I'd come and help answer some questions.
Yeah. Fantastic to have you with us. I also just want to say thank you to Lone Star McFluffin for resubbing for a third month in a row. We are still, our charity stream this month, all the way to the end of the month, is still the American Society for Suicide Prevention. Nope, I got the name wrong. Crap, it's too tiny, I can't read it. Foundation, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP, there it is, nailed it.
We got there.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, if you have any questions that you want to direct to Dan, I don't know what your probably stands were in chat.
Yep, I threw it in there.
Yeah.
So if you want to, you don't have to ping Last Epoch Game. You can ping me as well. I'll probably read some of the questions from the others. But again, yeah, like Mike said, we are well aware of what's releasing this very second. Yeah. So we know it might be a little more quiet than usual.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, people on our team too. We all love action RPGs, and Chris even, their team plays Last Epoch as well, and we've all talked a lot about how there's a lot of friendly space to have more than one, and there's different kinds of games that you can play and enjoy, and so our team is out trying their game out, their team's playing ours. It's a cool thing to see.
Definitely. There was a question here from Roman Name X. Where's the best place to leave my feedback on how brilliant I think the Bazaar is? Unironically love it. Yeah, that's great. Best place for feedback is generally our forums. Or Discord if it's just a quick thing, that's fine too. Reddit's good. We keep our eye all over the place.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk right now about the Bazaar too. We honestly anticipated some questions about it today, but anywhere on the forums is good. We read that every day. Discord again, yeah, great. I'm always taking a peek at the forums. Our QA and game designers are always reading the forums, so. Let me see. Llama asking the question, are you actually playing the new league? And someone at the office mocked up an AI to play for us instead. Like I said, yep, some of us are playing the new league. For myself, I am going to be playing the new league. I have some time. Yeah, Mike. Yeah, Mike has become an AI, and he's actually playing the league right now. I programmed it myself. This is really just a simulation, but no, I'm going to be playing it. We're actually having a Last Epoch multiplayer playtest right now as we speak, and I'm probably going to go and do that instead when this is done. But definitely this weekend, I'm going to be checking it out for sure.
I'm gonna try and find some time this weekend if I can too. Who knows?
Yeah, this is a good patch because it's like this is the one where it's like, you know, they're making a lot of those changes where like our core philosophies have been to kind of get away from that spammy speed meta type of thing that PoE has fallen into over the years, and we really feel strongly about that, and it's interesting to see them kind of finally put a hammer down in that kind of direction too. So comparing how much it's really made a difference will be a very interesting thing.
Yeah. This is such a ridiculous relic I just found. It increased fire damage on the base, and then increased lightning damage and increased necrotic damage affixes. But then a giant health.
Yeah, where's the dev console? Man's hacking.
When you need it.
There you go. We're asking right into it then. People talking about the Bazaar isn't really trading. I think the definition of what trading is less important than what we think feels good and fits the core philosophy of our game. And I mean, I'd probably need more details as to what you kind of mean by that question. So, because from my standpoint, it is trading, and if you can maybe break it down a bit more for me, I'd definitely be able to run through it.
It's definitely not free trade.
Yeah, it's like it's not an unlimited market; it's limited trade, but more maybe to what that feedback means. I definitely have read the threads, but I would much rather kind of generate the dialogue here naturally, we'll say.
Controller support is a godsend for my RSI from an actual Typhoon. Yeah, we've actually got some big updates to controller support coming down the pipe for especially like inventory management, stash management, anything with items moving around. Yeah, controller support is improving all the time, so it's going to be even better. I'm glad you like it now, though.
Yeah, I think we have a bunch of that coming in for this patch too, right?
I think it's going to be ready this patch. It should be. It's like I don't see anything holding it up. I think we're actually planning on doing a little preview of that soon. Teasing the teaser.
Any thoughts about allowing more trading between friends? One of the things I was most excited for was to be able to go find an item and go, well, it's not good for me, but it'd be amazing for my friend, and to give it to him, but that wouldn't be possible unless they're a drop at present time. I believe in our FAQ, we did mention that we would allow inter-party trading, right, Mike?
Yeah, so I think the big difference is being able to get an item for someone that, like, if someone starts the game fresh and they've never played before and the item you already had these items, like, give them a head start, or just you were playing when, like, maybe I was playing one night and you weren't on, but I found a sweet bow and I'm not playing a rogue and you are, and I want to give you that bow because I found it. So, like, being able to trade items with friends when they're not in your party, because I know a lot of people want to do that. I think that's what the question's referring to.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think for that one, we definitely hear that feedback. I mean, do you kind of have a piece on that one, Mike?
Yeah, I think the big from my point of view, the big fear of allowing that is that you like the thing that I see, the suggestion I see a lot is, oh, if someone's been your friend for more than a week, let's say, then you can just trade with them freely, and that is a really good suggestion, and we've talked about that internally for sure. The big problem that we see with that is it would still allow for like trade cartels to exist, where you'd end up with just third-party websites that run the trading, and it's like you just join this like big friend group chain that allows trading to happen. And as long as you've been a part of this like big friend group chain for a week, you can just, there's effectively free trade that exists. And
Yeah.
and it would be the same as us just implementing a free trade in the game, except there would be this really feels bad week when you first discover that it exists, and you're trying to get into it, and you're like, you feel left out, and it would end up being a worse situation than us just implementing it, I think, is what happened.
Yeah, because like for us, like it's very easy to add in one feature to the ability to trade that quickly enables a free market. We've actually we've had a lot of design meetings about it, and yeah, like it's always like one suggestion, just it's like, okay, well, this is a free market with extra steps,
Yeah.
and it's really inconvenienced. So that's actually been a thing in our own conversations where we really want to try this system and see how it works and see how it lands, and like let players play it, collect data on it, figure it out from that point, and really try to fulfill our philosophy before we start. Ooh.
That was really close. Yeah, it's a fun trick. You can drop unique gloves on the ground to help you survive. Yep, that definitely works. That was really close. I do not know how I survived. Oh, we got 5 gifted subs to the channel. You got a sub, nice.
Thank you.
National Typhoon has gifted 5 subs to the channel. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. If you got one, congratulations. Glad everyone can enjoy those. That's awesome.
This is now a paid stream for me.
Yeah.
Artuum, that is an interesting trade system. I've looked at other ones like the Grand Market in RuneScape. I used to play EverQuest, and there was a bazaar type market in EverQuest that had a persistent world where people could set their own shops up. I've seen a lot of cool auction houses over my life of playing many MMOs and many action RPGs. We're definitely looking into all of them for inspiration.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's a lot of good stuff in looking at other games and how they've done it and what's worked well and what hasn't worked so well. And I think some of the big stuff we're trying to get with our trading system is things like not having that, like having to seek out, like if you're selling something, not having to stop doing what you're doing to actually make that final sale happen, was a big part of what we were trying to accomplish. And like when you actually find the item you want to buy, knowing that you can just buy it instead of having to like muck about trying to see if it's actually still for sale or anything like that. Like having that experience be smooth, keeping you in the client, not having to go to a third-party website. So just like when you do find the item you want, having that actual acquisition process be smooth and simple, I think is a real plus.
What's the next big upgrade for you right now? I actually haven't kept my eye on what your build is.
I really need, like, so a lot of the gear that I have is crafted from white items and is fractured. So like things like this, like I just need, like most of my gear is T3 items that have been like like full T3s that I then upgraded till I fractured. So I'm just kind of like, all my gear is in the like, I don't know, T17 to T20 range, but I'd like it to just push it a little bit higher. I need to get some Exalteds in there. And there's probably some key uniques I'm missing too, and my idols are really not fantastic. That's the big thing, I think. Where am I going? Is it this way?
I gotta figure out what my next build is.
This way is a dead end, isn't it? Nope.
I want to make another meteor build, but I've done it a couple times now.
Lightning meteor though. Have you done that though? Huh?
Yeah, I know. That's obviously what I have to do is now do lightning meteor. So maybe that's the next one.
Or the
I want to try it without flame ward bow. Is go a little higher risk.
blast from the past, wolf meteor. Do you remember that?
No, actually.
Oh, there was a version where I think it was a mistake at some point where Meteor summoned wolves by mistake, and so like it was just called Wolf Meteor as a joke for a while.
Oh, we need a 3-wolf meteor.
Yeah. Oh, what's this?
I wish I could hear the game sound.
I don't know if I can pump that through Discord. I mean, my Discord's all muted for like in-game sounds. I don't know how to do that easily. Sorry. Yeah, because I guess listen, you can't have the stream sound turned on because then you'll hear my voice in echo.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll make the sounds for you.
Just make this noise.
Clink, clink, clink,
That's
clink,
what that's making. Yeah, no kidding, Reimer. I've been playing. I don't know if chat's been playing it, but I played a little bit of Tainted Grail, and that one's really been great for me. The soundtrack is outstanding, and I really like what they've done with the just like the Slay the Spire card roguelike genre. Just pushing it a little bit further.
I really enjoyed Slay the Spire. I had a ton of fun with it. If I had more time, I'd probably still be playing it.
Actual Typhoon, do you guys find yourself returning to core game design pillars to make sure you're on track for the kind of game you want to make? Is there a central design philosophy you think makes LE special? Yeah, we've definitely talked about that a lot. I'm sure Mike has mentioned, I was talking about it a bit earlier too, where, it's very important for us to feel like we can play a game where you can keep up with your friends and you can see what's going on your screen. We really wanted to slow down and have a more methodical pace of combat. With that said, it's obvious, even if you were watching, Chris Wilson's interview yesterday, power creep happens over a period of time. You keep adding more features, more mechanics to interact with, and then you get more and more things over the years that can kind of move you away from what your core philosophy is. And I think for us, we're definitely planning to be, much like this expedition season, but a lot sooner. Is we're planning to be very active in trying to maintain our philosophy, but also add new content as well. So, for example, if we see too much of a speed meta coming up, we do want to address it. Once we're in a multiplayer environment, I think we're going to be a bit more active in that regard. We're definitely aware that there's a couple builds right now and a couple of abilities that are starting to travel in those directions, but we do want to start looking at those things. We very much want to address them sooner than many years down the road, and I think that'll make us very different in philosophy.
Yeah, I think it's interesting as well. Just even in early multiplayer testing, we already get QA coming back to us now with like we were like, there was a conversation we were having and they're like, oh, we've been playing and this skill, it feels really bad when your friends are playing with this skill and you have to like play with them when they're using it. And we've already had that come up a few times now. So it's interesting how the feedback shifts when multiplayer comes into play as well.
Yeah, for sure. And even like it was interesting because they didn't just Pathfinder didn't even just reduce the damage of things. They've reduced the cooldowns of traversal skills. And I mean, they obviously nerfed Smoke Mine more heavily than the others because it was the exception to the rule since it was so particularly powerful. But yeah, they finally, like that one in particular is going to have a huge effect on how fast you can clear your maps, especially because the cooldown reduction gem was also nerfed to an extent as well. So with the increased cooldown, the abilities, they're finally stepping back in kind of a slower world. But it's still going to be a completely different game compared to us. I still think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many things that are just core to both the games that will just keep them unique no matter what. Because there's things that I think just wouldn't work in our game that they do, and there's things that wouldn't work in their game that we do. Like just there's enough differences that there's always going to be things unique about them, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I'll get from Magus 424. Any plans to eventually have skill cosmetics similar to what PoE has? And if yes, any chance of joke MTX similar to PoE's cats on crit gags from ages ago? So we talk a lot about skill. For the first answer to the question is yes, we are very interested in skill MTX. We would love for you to have ways to define your character, to be more unique, to just kind of create your own style that can be separate from other players while still, playing a build you really like. To the second part of that, we really like memes internally. I don't know if we're going to make meme abilities. I would say that is unconfirmed at the moment, but we certainly like to think about them. There has been more than one toucan passed around in a conversation in a meeting.
Yeah, and like I think the important thing is most of the skill MTX we've talked about actually including is still things that are sort of in universe. So, for example, we wouldn't have a version of hammer throw that was just grenade throw, because grenades
or Thor's hammer.
Yeah, or
probably
yeah,
won't be
Thor's
getting
hammer.
Thor's hammer.
Yeah, because that's part of a different universe. But like we might get things that are like nods to other things, or are maybe it's a joke but it's still in the universe. Like if something became bees, that would be okay because bees work.
yeah, okay. I mean, bees doesn't really fall into meme range because they've been part of the game for so long now. It's really just kind of just part of our core design.
Feels like a meme
I'll
to
read
me
this
still.
one out. Yeah, true. Fair enough. We'll see what happens when I get my hands on it again. Iripus is asking kind of long question about snap freeze. I've noticed it doesn't reliably freeze bosses and rares. The wording of the skill says that it freezes, so I assume that it should always freeze even bosses. Is the issue that bosses have some innate freeze avoidance? And if so, is there some magic number of frostbite stacks or freeze multiplier I can hit to always make it freeze bosses? Mike?
Yes and no. So the reliably freezing bosses is basically anything that hard CCs hard CCs anything is less effective against the boss. So stun, freeze, fear, those are the three big ones. They're just less effective versus bosses. There's no magic number. I don't know if snap freeze. I don't know what the exact details on how snap freeze is different because it is just freeze the boss. Yeah, I think it's either a chance, like it's half chance or something. It might say in the tooltip, like the alt tooltip might actually say. I can't check some on an acolyte right now. But there's anything that is reliably stunning. So I think Shield Bash also has something for bosses because it is reliably stunning. I think the Warcry stun node is the same way. Yeah.
Let me grab another one, and I think Reimer can probably break that one down more for you in chat as well, Iripus. So Illyria Eve. If you plan on doing leagues and cycles like PoE, there may be problems. Players aim for builds and fail to drop the needed unique. Example, player X wants to do a cool build that he saw from a streamer, but he doesn't drop or find a seller for the required unique even though he has the money. The player might get pissed off or give up after a while. And I think that's really a valid thing. I understand that kind of feeling where you might be looking for something and you can't find it. At the same time, I'm actually going to refer. So if you watched the stream yesterday, Chris Wilson was talking about what he felt about the old school economy and the feelings of excitement. He mentioned about his friend Brian, who when the barbarian. When the Lances came out for the Barbarian in Diablo 2, he had spent, he was going on vacation with his family, going to cyber cafes, trying to log in and look to trade people. He was getting SOJs to try to keep looking for that. And when he finally got it, it's something that he remembered for a very long time. I think with a really advanced, really easy to access economy where you can get everything you want, you kind of miss those feelings. It becomes more about how can I get 10% more power in my piece of gear versus, while I hear what you're saying in terms of it feeling bad when you don't get something, I think the opportunity to get something you want over a season, for example, is going to be a lot higher than you might expect from what you may be reading right now with the Bazaar. And the nice thing is, you'll be able to have that kind of experience again where you'll be able to, maybe you won't just buy the thing you're going to get right away and quit the game. Maybe, it'll show up a little bit later than you expect, but you'll still run into it. And we really want to bring that kind of, emotion back from that Diablo 2 style era, where you can't just kind of solve your problems with an easy to access market.
I think there's also a second half of that as well, in that in the actual item design for items that are very build enabling. So there's like build enhancing and build enabling uniques, and they're two very different things. And so, for the big example that I always come back to with a question like this is Exsanguinous and the boots and the other chess piece that I can never remember the name of, because Exsanguinous is always just the good one of them. But there's the other pieces that are a lot easier to acquire that that in any of those pieces really enable that low life playstyle. And then getting a second piece of it or getting the better version of it enhances that playstyle and makes the build more powerful. But you can still play the build with the easy to get version of it, and then you can really take that build to the next level and advance that build through the end game into harder content as you get the better versions of them. And I think having that sort of interaction in mind when we design items really helps with the problem as a whole.
Yeah, and in our game, I think in the last Epoch, it's a lot easier to kind of get a build functional up and running and not feel like a single unique is really holding you back. There's definitely build-defining uniques, and we do think that those are valuable, but there's a lot of flexibility because of the way our skill system is set up that you can create something that is similar to a build that you're looking for a lot earlier than you might be able to in Path of Exile, for example. And that's something I really like when I play, is if I want to try a new build, it's something I can do without worrying about being able to even afford a really expensive build defining item, because if something is so rare that it's not you can't find it on the market, it's also going to be so rare that's really expensive on a free market. So the problem is really just multiplied into a different direction in the first place, and it can be really misdirecting sometimes when you're thinking about how to approach that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Llama is asking from the question for something Reimer said earlier. Will you be restricting multiplayer to have only one of class in a party? No. And I went and reread what Reimer said, and he's more referring to the fact that we really just want to make sure that we have technical solutions to the number of pets being available in a party. These technical solutions will not be design limitations. For example, we will not limit your classes in a party. If you want to have 4 minion necromancers and they're all destroying things, by all means that's going to happen. You may not see you want 4 mic build. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know if something happened there. You may not see all of the minions. We're looking for solutions where we might hide the visuals of other players, or at least make it less visible. If you've seen a solution like Diablo 3's, that's something we've thought about. We're not. We're still determining exactly what's going to work best, but we'll do it something different for different abilities. We actually have the technical capability to change it on a per ability basis. So no, we will not be limiting classes, but we will try to limit visuals so that you don't lag out like crazy right off the bat, and make it as efficient as possible, and not visually overwhelmed.
I just realized that I think I'm like way past the quest requirements to do the boss. Like the stability requirements, the timeline stability.
Yeah, I think you're just grinded now.
Yeah, apparently.
But you're in the zone now. I can read the questions for you, so yeah. you can just keep going.
I'm trying to get too empowered. I really want to do that.
From Random, again, what are your thoughts on legacy items when an item is changed? Make multiple versions of items or update all items? So right now, the way it's going to work in multiplayer will be different, because we're going to have an environment where you will have standard characters. League characters kind of everything's reset in the first place anyways. The items will be updated. Actually, I don't know what you're thinking in terms of legacy items there, Mike.
Well, so things like the way we have our unique systems set up, the unique items won't do legacy items even if we wanted to. We'd have to change something pretty heavily to make that even happen. So uniques and sets will all automatically just fix, like, update to the newest version regardless. We do have like magic items. Whenever we have a system in place where some people who've been here for a while can attest. They've got items that have 6 affixes on them, and it's like, how? It's because 2 of the affixes were moved from being a prefix to a suffix or a suffix to a prefix, and so the item still exists with these sort of like fake extra affixes, and they don't appear as a prefix or suffix. Because if you look carefully on items, there's little arrows that show the, like, at the start and finish of the lines that show if it's a prefix or suffix. And if they've got one that's a legacy affix, it won't have one of those arrows. And so we do have rare items that show up as legacy items already. Ooh, that's nice. And that's much less of a big deal than uniques, because quite often when there is a legacy item like that, it won't be as good as the modern item versions of it. We're not 100% sure what we're going to do in multiplayer yet, but because, like you said, the new league resets anyways, it might not be a problem at all.
Yeah, I think the real answer is right now our tech works a specific way. And in multiplayer, we're going to be expecting, if we're doing new seasons, items will be changed and modified. You're going to be getting them again in the season. And if you have things in standard, right now that's the way it works. And it's not really a design goal to focus heavily on legacy items versus just making sure our current items work very well technically. So it's definitely a thing that we'll see how that lands. And if there's a lot of standard players who have a strong opinion on it, we'll definitely listen and see, what there is. Because I know people think about like legacy headhunters and stuff like that.
Yeah, if it's warping the game, we'll address it more closely for sure. Oh. Okay.
It's fine. It's
we're totally fine.
Don't worry. Yeah, you're good.
There's nothing wrong. Nothing to see here.
You're not reading the questions. You're not allowed to die.
Resummon the army.
Let's see. Another question, I believe, is from Artuum. There's a huge problem in PoE. Let's say you don't have a powerful computer and you join a group. So the long and the short of this question, yes, Artuum. I was talking about that already. Yeah, we want to address. We want to address the visuals of other things, cosmetics in particular. I also answered in the forum post. We do want to think in advance of how to make, visual MTX really stand out without being completely over the top like that as well. That is very much a thing where I can tell you what my philosophy is. I can tell you what the team's philosophy is right now. The reality is when we start making MTX and we start putting in the game and we start playing it out, we're going to have to test it ourselves quite a lot, make sure it's not overwhelming. And as a philosophy, we're going to have to make sure that players can't really overwhelm each other with that. Otherwise, it would kind of bypass our whole system. But in the first place, since we are trying to modify the visuals of other players' abilities and pets for you while you're playing multiplayer, that should, to some extent, there should still be technical improvements there where you might still see the ability the same way in terms of an MTX visual, but from the technical back end, it'll be less expensive. So we are definitely aware of that, and we have to think about it a lot, even when we make visual MTX in the first place. So we're thinking quite a bit about that.
Yeah, it's a balance between making it look good and making it feel good, and if we don't hit both those things, it's not going to be just overall good.
Here's one for you from Thane Silverblade. Speaking of streamers, how hard would it be to set up the loot filter exports to highlight only the items equipped? That way we could get the filters for builds without too much complication. Is that like a integration? I think he's asking about like a Twitch integration.
I know we've been talking about getting a Twitch integration working, which would be awesome. Especially if there was a way that people could like open my inventory on stream and look at the gear that I'm using. That would be really cool. So like if people don't have to be like, oh, what belts am I wearing? I have to open it up and look at the belts and show them the ranges and everything. They can just look at it themselves. We'd love to do that. That falls under the category of would be great, and post-launch, it's something we'll be looking at, but probably not pre-launch.
Yeah, actually, myself, we're starting to open dialogues now with more people like Twitch and other developers and things like that, where we're going to start looking into options like integrations. It very much, those are not easy to do all the time. Like Path of Exiles took a few years before they really had a solid one in place. So I expect we'll be investigating it in a similar manner. And since it's already been done many times now, it's a far more mature environment in 2021 than back when they got one in. I'm pretty confident an integration can happen at some point. We've got to make sure we can get our items online, fully server authoritative, and multiplayer release to you first before we throw that one on the pile too. Here's one from.
Let's keep on that because he just said no. Just how the current loop filters can be exported and re-imported instead of exporting and set up rules. It would just look at the character's equipment and put that in the filter. Okay, I think I had a question about this last week actually, and I didn't quite understand the question then either. But I think what it's meaning is trying to infer a loot filter based on the gear you're wearing.
Okay.
And I think it's a really cool idea.
Like an auto filter or something?
Yeah, just sort of like make a filter based on the gear this person's wearing.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
We don't have a plan for that right now. That's food for thought, though. I don't really. Yeah, I wouldn't even react to that up front. It's just it's a cool suggestion that I appreciate.
It's really cool. I have no idea where we would start making it.
Yeah. Like, how does that? Like, what? Like, do we? Which affix do we focus on? Like, what's the priority piece? Does it target every affix on the piece of gear? Are you only ever going to see the exact type of gear that you have on you? So, like, if you get like, if you've got 4 affixes, does everything else disappear other than that item type of the exact same 4 affixes? Or I would have many questions, but I like the idea.
Yeah. Do you have like a tolerance variable so you can be like, it has to be within 80. Each item's within like 80% difference of this item or something like that, and like, does it look at like the range rolls for these things, or is it like at least as good as 80% as this, and like how do you define as good as? There's a ton of stuff that would like have to be worked out, and like it would be so cool to be able to do that. But yeah, it's definitely not on the immediate roadmap.
Bacon Crew is asking, what about auto sorting stash, Mike? When's my auto sorting stash? My stash is becoming messy, Mike.
Don't we have that?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's real easy to do because this button can literally just be.
Yeah, it's the same thing as we have for inventory, right?
Yeah, if that button's not in the stash already, I'll make a little note. Let's get this one. Auto sort stash. There. I made a little note for myself. I'll check it out.
Cool. I will go with Illyri. So there's a suggestion here about a system that allows you to buy unique in a way. So player Y pays X gold to add a request to the billboard indicating how much they pay it. When the other players sell the unique item to the vendor, it is automatically sold to player Y, and the seller receives a percentage of how much gold player Y wanted to buy it. So that idea is there's actually a lot of buy-sell markets like that. That's something that's actually a fairly popular model in MMORPGs. Even games like World of Warcraft have now added that kind of functionality in. Where they had previously had the auction house, and then they've added on like buy orders versus sell orders. I believe the Grand Market in RuneScape does that as well. The thing with that is that it does kind of still like that goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where you think about a free market and how easy, one really small decision can create a free market. As soon as you have a board up like that, you probably are opening up a website that has all of those kind of proposals posted. And then what you're doing instead is kind of going to that website, taking a look at the buy and sell orders, and then jumping in to figure those out, to get back in the game. I definitely see that suggestion. It's definitely a cool one. I've used that in lots of games myself. It does kind of open up the free market, which is a thing we're trying to not do in the first place.
There is a sort button in the stash. I just found it.
Yes. Okay. Not crazy. I'm crazy.
Oops.
So did one person from an actual Typhoon, did one person on the team already have the lore for a game that they wanted to put out? Or did the team figure out the story together? Mike?
Yeah, so there's, right from the get-go, our lore master had a huge amount of the story. The bones already decided and picked out and everything. It's been, like, the core storyline and, like, the outline, I guess, has been built and created years ago. Things have changed. It has evolved since then. Like there's stuff's been added, stuff's been changed, stuff's been moved, and characters have been added, characters have been removed. You know, like stuff has changed with it, but the core storyline has been in the works for longer than the game last Epoch.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and to the other part of it is other people did join the team and started adding to the story. You know, a lot more of us have had input in where it's going to go since then. And I mean, that's just a pretty natural course of game development. As more people join the team, you know, they kind of, you know, we broadened out the design spectrum. People have more insight and input, and things kind of evolve over time. So the story has definitely evolved over time, but there was absolutely an original vision. You know, we often used to speak a lot about how Chrono Trigger and Diablo 2 were our main inspirations, and even today that's still the case. But what we were envisioning for, you know, back then and now, you know, it changes slowly as we try to write new stories and think about what kind of story do we want to write 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, you know, 10 years from now. So it's grown and evolved over time.
And sometimes it's something as innocuous as someone being like, what if so-and-so did this? And then it just kind of like, speaking of bees, like someone just be like, what if this happened? And then it kind of like, oh, that's a great idea. And sometimes new things will come from that as well. So it's definitely evolved quite a bit.
For sure. From C Moose, slightly unrelated to LE, you know, we've been super successful working remotely, but in the future, are we planning on getting an office anywhere? Or me? No, we are not currently. We've actually built, so our production works pretty much fully remote. We can work very quickly, get patches out quickly. We've built systems and structures that allow us to work across the world. We've gotten used to each other's schedules because early on in the game, we had a lot of people across different time zones. And while we work, while our main core hours are mostly North American, we've all gotten very used to this, and it's working really well. So the short answer is we're not planning that because we're quite happy making Last Epoch as quickly as we do from our houses.
Yep. There's a lot of people who specifically like like when they started working with us wanted a remote position, and that's like part of what drew them to us. So like if we got an office and said, all right, everyone who wants to stick around has to move to this town to join this office, there'd be a humongous amount of turnover probably, and it would just it's not worth it.
Yeah. So
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. You know.
Yep. Because we're getting faster every day doing this. Difference between us and big companies is we started from this, where a lot of them had a studio and had to shift to this, so they did slow down. Where for us, we're used to this. This is the world we live in. So you know, we're pretty happy with that. Let's see who we got.
All right, we're doing it. We're going to fight some bosses. Go. We're going to fight some bosses.
Hype.
And it's going to be real easy because I only have 3 increased damage modifiers on it.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. You shouldn't have mentioned that, dude.
Oh, it's going to be so hard. I'm playing on, like, super hard mode right now. Like, oh, I don't even know. This might not even be possible.
No logouts, dude. That's the thing.
Only someone of incredible skill could possibly make this work.
Look at him go. That was a really impressive click, actually, if I do say so myself.
Just standing still here.
Question, would it be possible in the future to add a loot filter so you can filter items that sell for a certain value to enable earning gold a little better?
Yep.
So I guess that concept, you're not suggesting like automatically sell items. You're more suggesting to catch items for yourself of a certain economic value. That's an interesting one. What do you think about that one, Mike?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah.
Like it would look at the in-game sell sticker price, like just the number that shows up in the bottom, the value. That's easy. Like that information's on the item when it drops. It is a composite value. Like it's really easy for uniques and things like that. It's a little harder for a lot of other things like get in there. Like magic and exalted items and things like that. Ooh, scepter. Okay, what do we got? Belt shard, skill shard. Definitely want the skill shard. Love the skill shards.
Nice. Yeah, it's that one's interesting. That you know, that doesn't really get in the way of an open market. So that's a cool idea.
I feel like
I'm gonna think.
That's one of those things where I'm like, did we not do that? We didn't do that. Okay.
No.
Like I feel like I've been in a meeting where someone suggested that and we were like, yeah, that's easy, let's do it. And then maybe no one did it or something like that, or maybe there was some reason why we didn't do it. I don't remember.
Let's see. Filter related again for you, Mike. Is there a way to copy paste an individual rule?
Not yet. It is possible. We should have added that a while ago, probably.
We'll throw that one into the development pile.
Yeah. I feel like that's another one of those things where I'm like,
it.
I'm pretty sure that was on the initial specs for it too.
Yeah. It was so complicated though. Like the loot filter is really like, it's actually pretty complex the way it has to work because it also just has to work perfectly. Otherwise, it's weird, right? Because all the bugs that we had for it that you guys did a great job fixing, it's just it makes it really inconvenient if any small thing is wrong with it.
It's there's so many little things that have to come together, and like having a UI for the perfect filtering system is so hard to do. And it's not perfect yet, and it will continue to get better.
Let's see, Chatterboxy. So I saw after the 083 patch, things to come picture. Dungeons, did it come to the list because community requested it? And what kind of dungeon system is it going to be? Lots of quests, mini bosses, and loot. Mike, you can take this one.
I mean, we don't, it's not built yet, so we can't, and
Yeah.
just like the always answers is like, well, it's not done yet, so I can't tell you all the details. It's the sort of thing that we've wanted to put in for a very long time, and we kind of just figured something out that made it work, which is why we've added it to the list of things we're going to do.
Yeah, and I think the really, rather than the actual content of what it'll be, is more the goal of what we want the dungeon to do.
Yeah.
Where we want it in the world, what we want players to use it for. How can a dungeon be something that's really cool and exciting that you actually, you know, engage with and want to regularly go back to and you feel motivated to do? Those are the real things that we need to figure out still. Whereas the key goal for dungeons, we want something really interesting for you to go and, you know, just go off into the side. Like think like the old like Val regions in PoE, but you know, we want to spec that out more. We want to add more features to that. We want to maybe add a story to it in some places, maybe a boss. So yeah, we haven't made all the decisions there, but we want to try different ideas that are cool and unique and will actually encourage you to step out of like what your normal grinding path might be.
Yeah, and this might be ways to break up the leveling process as well. Something that is encountered as you go and then reapproached later on. Ways to make not every time you play the campaign exactly the same. I know it's something that a lot of people are asking for, and this is a way to shake that up a little bit as well.
Major Lee, are you guys planning on putting buffs on the monsters or bosses like our bleed or leech? Well, you've good news.
Sorry?
Good news, Mike.
Oh yeah. So this is another one of those. We just figured something out that should make this possible. We're not 100% sure it's going to work yet, so it's not confirmed or guaranteed or anything like that. But it's on the list of things to do, whereas it's until now been on the list of things we would have liked to do but can't.
Yeah, it's now within the realm of technical possibilities. We aren't promising it. We are looking at it. It needs to make sense. It needs to be useful. It needs to not cause internet lag.
Yeah.
There's a long list of things we need to consider for it, but at least our stance has changed from being unable to do it to we have figured out a possibility. But yeah, again, we've got there's a lot more details to it, so no promises yet.
And there will be some limitations to it as well. We know that already. There's like, just to make it work at all, there's going to be certain concessions we have to make. For example, unless something changes dramatically, very high quantities of stacks will just show as many instead of the exact number. So if you have 80 stacks of poison on something, it won't say 80, it'll say a lot.
Yeah, and it can get really tricky fast depending. Even like a single ailment can throw off the entire system. I believe Diablo 3 had that problem for a while. I know WoW did for sure. It's been actually really hard to read a lot of debuffs on there.
Yeah.
I believe this question's been asked many times. Is the primalist model based on you, Mike?
A version of it a while ago was. The current version's not, but the current version was based on previous versions, so I like to think of it as like a grandchild. You know, there's some of my DNA in there, but it's not directly based off of me. I'm of course much better looking.
Let's see. Second question: are we planning on adding more of the character storyline throughout the campaign, like the Rogue and the Acolyte stories have me hooked? Yeah, that's a great question. That's something we are definitely interested in, right, Mike?
Oh yeah, for sure. We want to expand the storylines and how they're like displayed to the players, how they're interacted with, have those like get fleshed out more, definitely. Just the general storyline as well, and I think it'll likely, and I don't know this for sure, but I think it'll likely be in the form similar to those initial opening storylines, where there's like pictures that are slightly panning with a voiceover going on with them, and yes, we will add subtitles to them because that gets asked a lot. But yeah, it's having that style, which I really like, is it's relatively cost effective, but it also just works really well in the sense that you don't end up with this sort of like uncanny valley situation where like it's really good, but it's not quite perfect, and it looks kind of weird, and you get lost from it. Instead, you get these gorgeous images that really let you like take in the story, and that's the focus instead of focusing on the little things that aren't quite perfect. So I really like that style. And yeah, we want to get more of those in between the acts so that you can experience the story a little more clearly, and even people who are maybe not reading any of the text in game will get a lot more of that story. Like I know you can basically get, like, the big example I like to use is Diablo 2 always, but you can get most of Diablo 2's storyline from just the interact cutscenes, and they're pretty short. There's not a lot there, but you get all of the core storyline that's happening in each act from that. I think it works well. So, yeah.
Yeah, and two, I think with the story, narrative design is something, as we get better at making games, as we learn together, we figure out how to get different departments to talk to each other and tell stories together. We find different, better, and improved ways to just keep adding to the game and tell meaningful stories throughout it. That's something we're actually really focused on right now internally, is we're looking at a lot of things like voiceover, how to weave more of the narrative into the world, even in just like, into items, into little details in the environment. And a lot of those will also definitely involve the story of the characters. So that's something we're now, we're getting a lot better at, and it's going to keep getting better, especially as we get closer to release, and past release we'll keep adding more and more layers to stories.
Definitely. And the story's not done when we launch the game. 1.0 is not the end of the story. 1.0 is... There will be a full story arc there, but it won't be the end of the story.
Yeah, Adrenaline 40 asks, when are the plans to release the Falconer and the Warlock? And also, will the loot filter be able to sort by the base rolls? So for the first of the two questions, Now we've actually kind of addressed that in the road. We've changed our roadmap in the way we're looking at the roadmap, where we previously scoped out saying like it's going to come at X time on X patch. What we can say is we want it for 1.0, and you know it's on that plan. We don't know what patch those things are going to release for, and we're now really, until we're really solid on when we're going to commit to those, we're not really sure when they're going to land yet, because we got to focus on things like making sure we're adding in as much multiplayer content as we can, fixing all the multiplayer details up to get it ready for release, and just like Judge said in the roadmap to 1.0, yeah, we're kind of not giving hard deadlines on those, because we'll try to get them when it makes the most sense and we can put the most creative attention into them, and just really focus on adding them while we're not really digging into, say, multiplayer issues, for example.
Yeah, it's like by 1.0 at the latest, I guess, is the answer to it. But possibly earlier, who knows? And there was the second half of that question, wasn't there?
Yes. Will the loot filter be able to sort by the base rolls? For example, 15% plus all resistance on a ring.
Yeah, like the implicit values.
Yeah,
being sorted by implicits. I don't know. I feel like we should probably be able to do that. It's another one of those things where like there's so many little things in the loot filter to get it just the way we want it and just the way you guys want it, and it's going to continue to grow as we go. So possibly.
Yeah, that's another just good feedback piece for it.
Yeah.
Another question by Tib. Why is the shred armor chance not displayed in the character panel?
Every single piece of anything in the character panel was added manually. They get populated on the fly, obviously, because it changes as you equip and unequip stuff. But all these fields were placed one at a time, and it got added. So it got added after, as a stat, it got added after these were put here, and no one went in there. Definitely wasn't my fault at all. To go in there.
Definitely
not. We may have talked about it, and we probably didn't put it in because we would have had to put in all the shreds, and there wasn't enough room to put in all the shreds, unless the other shreds are in here, and I'm just forgetting about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're very well aware of our tooltips right now, and that's something I'm sure we'll keep looking at over time and continue to improve and evolve. Like we added tooltip DPS. We'll go back and look at the stats and on the character sheets to make sure that we get more details in there as we get closer to launch. I'm sure those kind of things definitely crop up, and we'll try to address them.
Yeah, I was just in a meeting yesterday morning about revamping the character panel, and designing that, and it's gonna have a lot of stuff. Some of the more obscure, it's not done yet, so again, not set in stone. But some of the more obscure stats that you don't always have, so like armor shred, not everyone's going to have armor shred, will only appear if you have some of it, and just won't be there if you don't, because otherwise there's so many things that are there, and some things are going to be collapsible and expandable, so like you'll have a stat and then like you can expand it to show how it's made up and that sort of stuff. So we're working to make that information displayed in the character panel a lot more comprehensive. It'll probably never be 100% complete, but it's going to get a lot better.
Here's a good one. Do either of us have a favorite boss fight? Appreciates fighting interesting bosses throughout the game instead of waiting until you get to level 90. For me, I really love Argentus. I played a really hard version of Argentus that we kind of adjusted before it released, and I had like a dozen people in the channel with me watching me do it, and it was really intense. Like I was always on like the brink of death constantly while fighting him, especially during the ad phase. It was like we had a bit of a timing issue where one of his AoE attacks was going off more often than it did when we released it, and that kind of always stuck with me. It was just such a thrilling fight. I didn't feel like I should have beaten it, and ever since that, I've always kind of really liked the Argentus encounter as one of my favorites personally.
I really like the Void Fire Forge fight, like as you're leveling. because it always feels as like the first fight that there's actually like a little bit of a challenge to, and there's all those ads that are flooding in the armory, and it's like I don't know, it's pretty new still, so I guess that's part of it for me as well. But I really like that fight, especially as you're leveling, and then I mean Lagan always gets me because it's just he's such a dick.
Twofuls asks, some dungeon-specific boss items or secret vendors in the dungeons, like Grim Dawn. Those ideas have definitely crossed our minds. Dungeons might have things very surprising. We'll let you know when we've kind of broken them down a bit more.
It's the Grim Reaper TV, the him hitting like a wet noodle. It's so hard to tune bosses to hit well, like, and to be like dangerous to all characters. And that's more of a balancing of the characters themselves than the balancing of the boss, I guess.
Cool. Actually, yeah, it looks like for my case, I think what I'll do, I guess I was expecting, just in case there's a lot of multiplayer questions, I wanted to be ready to answer a lot of them. And I think it looks like I can probably leave Mike to do his thing. Unfortunately, he might be at increased risk of death again as I leave him. I'm actually gonna go. Yeah, true. Yeah, look at him go right now. He doesn't need one. He's playing with his thumb in the air, so yeah, he doesn't need me. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, guys, for all the questions. It's really awesome to see people just so curious and interested in the game. It gives me energy every day. It's really just amazing to get to wake up and try work my best to deliver you guys multiplayer. And it's coming as soon as we can get it out. We want to do it right. We're working really hard on it, and you're going to see updates from me every month now. So from now on, you should expect posts like that from me. And they should have a lot of detail, a lot of what we're breaking down, a lot of what we're doing, the risks, different things like that. I'm going to be super transparent about our development process. I'm really happy to be able to share that kind of info with you guys. So please do keep checking those posts. And I'm sure I'll be back here to answer more questions again.
Yeah. Thank you very much for stopping by. And maybe we'll get you back for another one when there's more multiplayer stuff to talk about, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Later, guys.
See you, bud. There we go. He's gone. It's just me. Just gonna close off that. Get things back. Send him a little thank you. Yeah. Okay, we're good. All right. Back to me dying from reading chat. Heyo. Take your time with multiplayer. We don't care if it's delayed. We want it right too. Yeah, it's. We're not gonna release stuff before it's ready. We want it out. Like, it's funny every time I see questions that are like, "Oh, I just want multiplayer now. I just want to like get my friends in the game." I'm like, "Me too, me too." All my friends that play games like this, every time I see them or talk to them, it's the first question they ask me, like, "When's multiplayer coming, Mike?" And yeah, we want it. We want it bad. From Majorly Baked, yours have done so well with this Ellie. It's a dope game. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's like when Dan was talking about as he was leaving there, everything you say. I'm like, yeah, it is great to be able to get up in the morning and go work on a game and know that people are playing it and having fun. We got a question from Artem PA. May I ask, will it be very difficult to make the boss rewards dynamic? For example, if a player has perfectly completed all the boss mechanics, does he have a higher chance of getting better rewards or something like that? That's a really cool that's a cool point. We haven't done that yet. It's not impossible. We can do it. Like, for example, if there was a like something that you had to dodge, and if you ever got hit by it, it like reduced the chances of dropping a certain item or something like that. And if you get hit by it 5 times, it never drops that item, or I don't know. Or if he casts it 80 times, and if you dodge it at least half the times, it auto drops a certain item. All those things are possible to do. I don't think we've talked about doing that before. Maybe in a meeting I missed. That's a cool idea. I like it. The bosses are like, I think that type of I guess the concern that comes to mind is that type of boss would or mechanic would lend to really slow, methodical boss kills that have like high mobility to dodge things. I guess it could be other things, like if you can, like the Gaspar fight that I just did, he plants totems all around, and like if there was some sort of thing where like if you kill Gaspar when there's like 15 plus totems out or 30 plus totems out, you get like an extra item or something. That would be pretty cool, where there's like optional challenges, kind of like I guess what I'm being reminded of is boss achievements in games like WoW, where it's like there's secondary things you can do to get an achievement in the boss fight. Can you give us any hints as to what exactly the Rune Master is going to go? No one has asked about that class, and I'm curious, Mike. Is it going to be another RPG meta-breaking concept like the Falconer? Rune Master's got some cool stuff planned. I don't really want to go into too much depth on it because the core skills aren't created yet. So it might change, and I don't want to be like, this is what it's going to be, and kind of, I guess, back ourselves into too much of a corner on it. Because a lot of the design happens actually after like the first little bit, and things change because we're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if, or this isn't fun, let's make it fun, you know? So it's gonna fit in the. Oh, I missed it. We got Major League Baked has subscribed for 2-1 first time, and also 18 minutes ago I totally missed it. Tipsy Tonic subscribed to Twitch Prime. Thank you very much to both of you. Appreciate it. Glad to have you with us. There's sorry, I was saying about. Oh, Major League Baked has gifted 5 subs, it looks like, to the channel. Yeah, nice. That's awesome. All sorts coming in. That is fantastic. Let's go. And I'm gonna try not to die. Look at that. I was in the middle of saying something. Oh yeah, the Rune Master. It's still going to fit in the, like, I guess the things that make the Spellblade and the Sorcerer similar are still going to be there to make the Rune Master and Spellblade and Rune Master and Sorcerer similar. It's definitely going to be more in the caster archetype than the Spellblade is. Like, Spellblade is very much designed more as a melee archetype, and so Rune Master is more in that caster archetype. But there will be lots of things that make it very distinct from a Sorcerer. Just how Sentinel's the one I was coming to with this is Void Knight, Paladin, Forge Guard are all melee classes that have some touches of spells and like a little bit of minion stuff in there too. But they're all very similar, but we try and do things to make them distinct from each other. And there's already some of the base mage skills that each base class skill we say, like, okay, it's more focused to this mastery. So for example, we've actually changed a lot of what the base class skills are, so I might have some of these wrong. I guess I just look here. Yeah, it's a great example. Summon Skeleton is very much a Necromancer skill, but it's in the Acolyte, and every Lich, Necromancer, and Warlock all have access to it, but we do put this in the Necromancer category. And then things like Harvest we put in the Lich category. So there's, like, a Necromancer can use it, but there's way more support in Lich. So there's already things in these in yeah, it's working. I wasn't sure if I fixed that or not. And there are things in the Mage base class already that we would consider Rune Master skills. A couple of them. there's a couple things that are scheduled for restructuring as well when that happens. All right, let's check it out. What do we got here? Have you pre-ordered D2R? If so, are you looking forward to the beta in August? I would love to play the beta. Oh my god, that sounds like fun. I don't know if I'm gonna have time or not because we're gonna be real busy with getting this patch out. It's one of those things where like playing other awesome ARPGs is kind of part of my job. Just finding time for it's the most important thing. So we'll see, maybe. I hope so. For multiplayer, will there be servers we have to connect to, or will be hosting game for my friends? No, you will not be hosting games for your friends. You will be connecting to a server. That server will try to be the fastest one for whatever region you're in. If you're in multiple regions, some of you might be a little bit slower than others for connecting to them. This is primarily to keep online play fair and fun for everyone, where there's not a bunch of cheating happening, and like you don't walk into a game and someone's just like dropping a bunch of omnis, perfectly rolled omnis on the ground, and you're like, great, I guess it doesn't matter. Cool. There's no need to try and get anything because there's just duped items everywhere for free. It's funny because like when Phantasy Star Online for the GameCube, most people don't know that GameCube had a WAN attachment, so there's like a network card that you can just plug into the bottom of it. The bottom, like this much of a GameCube, is just empty space. It's crazy. Anyways, there's like a big thing you chunk in the bottom of it. It's a big network card, and so we got that and played Phantasy Star Online. Episodes 1 and 2 is a port from the Dreamcast. So much fun. Love the game. Actually, my mom played a bunch with me. It was pretty funny. She got hooked on it and like would play while I was at school and doing my homework and everything. And she got higher level than me. Anyways, I remember going online and suddenly these people are just dropping these hacked items that are just unbelievably better than everything I have. And like I lost so much motivation to play the game because it was just suddenly complete. So yeah, we really want to have server authoritative multiplayer so that we can make sure that sort of scenario doesn't happen. Yeah. Are you willing to elaborate on the Monolith of Fate improvements coming in 8.3? Well, they're not all done yet. This is one of those things where I hate talking about things that aren't done yet just because like they could change after we test them. It's going to be a bunch of little things, really. It will be less drastic than what we did last patch for improving the monolith. Like the core, this map is staying. We're not getting rid of this. There's gonna be a lot of little things in here to just make this experience a little more fluid. There is one bigger change we're working on that I don't want to bring up until it's finalized, really. So that'll be explained a little bit better down the road. Sorry, I can't really tell you much about that. What will be the approximate price of the cosmetic items? So that's something that's gonna we haven't figured that out yet. We really want to. So obviously there'll be a range. I shouldn't say obviously. There will be a range on cosmetic items based on many things to determine how expensive they are. So like if you're buying 8 things in a package together in a bundle, they might be cheaper than buying each one of them individually, for example. Or maybe there's I guess a good example is in the supporter packs. You can see the different levels of the pets. Oh my god, I don't own a bunch of the pets for some reason. This is clearly because my account was being used for testing things at some point. But so as an example, there's this whole line of pets here, and it doesn't fit on one line properly because someone, definitely not me, it was me, put this in a weird spot so that they wouldn't all fit on one line. But so they get like bigger and cooler as you go up, and so this one would obviously be more expensive than this one, for example. Like there's that distinction. Here, let's get this guy. I like this guy. You can't really see it all because my pets are everywhere. That's cool though. Um, so things that are flashier will be more expensive probably. We do know that, like, I guess the big comparison that always gets brought up is PoE. And so we do have a sticker price on our game, and we know that that influences the perception of having any sort of MTX in the game at all. Which is, like, for that reason alone is why we're very strictly keeping them only cosmetic and having no functional convenience factors, anything like that. No leveling boosts, no pay-to-win mechanics, nothing like that. Because there's a sticker price in the game, we keep our MTX purely cosmetic, which is why we call it a cosmetic store, not an MTX store. And so, where was I going with this? Yeah, and we also have to keep in mind that because people are paying for the game up front, we have to keep that in mind when we're pricing our cosmetics as well. So hopefully that gives you a little insight into where we're coming from with it. Because that's going to be the core thing that keeps, like, cosmetics in general. And so cosmetics and new players coming to join the game are what's going to keep the servers running as we go for the next 10 years, right? So we want to keep that price fair for everyone, so that it's like you feel like you're getting good value for what you're buying. But if we put everything at 10 cents, it probably wouldn't be able to pay for the servers long term, you know? So it's a balance. And, like, with everything, if we're doing a bad job, we will make it better and pivot. I think we've done a pretty good job showing that we're good at listening to feedback. Some of these are getting pretty good. I really like this shield. Like, it's actually not fantastic and probably needs a little bit of a buff, I think, but I really like it. I think that has to do with a lot with the role that Soulfeast has in general, but I don't have room for any of this stuff, do I? Okay, I really want to get this one in because I think it's awesome. Because I use Volatile Zombie as a big part of my damage, and Transplant CDR is great. I do really like this one as well, though, so I'm going to make sure I keep this one. That there. We're going to try and sneak this in here. And we're going to realize that we suddenly can't put a lot of these in. Cold damage, medium cold damage, that's really good. Lightning res. What's our res like? Lightning res is right in the line. No. Maybe we don't need both of these, though. I'll take that out, actually. I don't really need these that much. And I'm basically just flipping this, but makes more sense in my brain. I guess I could put, if I pull one of these out, I could put a 4 slot in and a 2 sideways. Let's see if I've got any good 4 slots and 2 sideways ones. Oh, there's a bug. Huh. Swear I fixed that bug. I remember that bug. Oh, I can do some 3 sideways ones too. Oh yeah, that's great right there. Here we go. We're gonna go like this. There we go. A little bit better. A little bit better. Not dramatically. All right. Back to some questions. What do we got? An update on the new golem art you showed back in the day. Ah, I don't have any more golem art, I don't think. Let me just look. Golem in art. Concept art? Concept art, there it goes. Yeah, I could show this. I could show this. One sec. When was that posted? Oh, that's pretty recent. Yeah. Sorry guys, please stand by. I'm grabbing a spoiler for you. We're grabbing spoilers because they're freaking awesome. It's going to be huge and it's going to cover up stuff. That's okay. Let's just double check, make sure there's nothing in here that I shouldn't be showing. Yeah, that's fine. Here you go, this is a concept art. It is not in game yet. The new bone golem. Oh, I think I moved enough to activate the arena I'm in. Yeah, it was spawning. Okay, I'm gonna play in the background. There you go. Here's a look for you, Aaron. Concept art for the new bone golem. I don't think this has been shared yet. But this is the most recent image for it. So that means it's probably not going to be in this patch because it still has to go through modeling and also the golem variants need to get that designed out as well. So the fire and all that sort of stuff. Fire, spectral, bone, and iron, steel, metal. Am I just thinking of Diablo 2? I guess I could just look. Of course, blood. I should have known that. I definitely was not the person who did most of the skill work on that either. Can I reveal some more uniques? No, there was the ones that were revealed on a few days ago. Those are the only ones that were ready to be revealed. We've got a whole bunch coming, actually. I'm pretty pumped about them. They're going to be good. They're going to be good. I've also got to resummon my army, don't I? Because of these changes. Yeah, whatever. When are you gonna do the muscle power Terry Crews style commercial to advertise last Epoch? We all you want to play, see you play the sax like Terry Crews. I can actually play the saxophone. I don't have one anymore, but I played alto sax in my high school band and jazz band. And tried a little bit of Barry sax, but didn't like it very much. You can also play clarinet. If you can play saxophone, you can play clarinet. They're identical. Well, I mean, probably not very well. And someone will be like, they're so different. I'm sorry if I offended anyone who's really good at one of those instruments. I'm only okay. On the new roadmap, 8.2 shows new primalist model, and 8.3 says Druid transformation rework. Aaron, I think there's something wrong with your question, because we already have 8.2. And I don't think we specified what's coming in 8.4 at all. We just said after 8.3. I'll come back to that. Oh, you meant 8.3 and 8.4. Okay, just shift the numbers. Or actually getting in 8.3 is the things from the things that are in that roadmap image is the stuff we're actually getting. And oh my god, my army has been unbelievably decimated. I guess we're resummoning that army. Wow. Mike, pay attention. I know they're distracting. Shh. Siege Golem's scary. Yes, we are probably. Yeah. So I know I talked about doing Druid for next patch, and that got pushed. Partially because there's just so much happening with it. Partially because there's some other things that we had coming that were going to work well to go earlier. Come on, there we go. Ah, there, the army's back. Oh no, there, the army's back, and it's staying this. Ah, god dang it! Apparently, my skeletons are very squishy right now. Did I do something? I think just siege golems are just rocking them. Just all it comes down to. Okay, well we're gonna fix that later. We're gonna get some more minion durability. I've got some passive points. We'll put it into minion durability. All right. Have you thought about there being like a monthly subscription option that gives 10% more cosmetic coins, or maybe a discount at the start of the cycle or something? I don't think we've talked about that at all. Yeah, I don't know. A subscription, maybe. It could be cool. To, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of red flags that are going off in my head when I hear the term subscription. I don't really want to comment too much on it. I'm sorry. Maybe. Maybe, possibly. Probably not right away. It's not something we've discussed so far. Where are we? Oh, don't die. That's where we are. We're in don't die mode. Mike will understand. I figured it out eventually. Will you ever add cursed shrines from which mobs spawn? Something like cursed shrines from Grim Dawn. I love cursed shrines like that. Like you come to it, it's like boom. Oh, you're gonna get your bonus, but first you gotta fight off this huge mob for it. I love it. And oh man, you're gonna hate me because I can't remember the name of the item for it right now. But the Diablo 3 one that causes all shrines to be cursed. Is that Ingiome? Or is that Ingiome's the damage on rare kill, and it makes killing rares easier? Cooldown. There's one in Diablo 3 that does a similar thing. I love those things. I think that could be a really cool thing that would show up as like a specific mechanic in a certain area. or like maybe a specific mechanic that would show up in a certain type of monolith or a dungeon, or maybe it's part of an item as like it's not always there. I really like that idea. Da, da, da. How will on-kill effects work in multiplayer if I'm in a party with someone else? Yes. You may have noticed, you may have picked up on this a little bit. So on-kill effects only work if you are the thing that kills them. If your minions kill them, it doesn't work. If you kill them and it says if your minion kills them as the trigger, it doesn't work for the minions. It's only, like, on-kill effects only work on you being the thing that gets the kill. That's the way it works. That's how it's going to work. You may have noticed, maybe not, that a lot of skill reworks and new skills coming in have steered a little bit away from the on-kill triggers relative to what we've had in the past. And part of that is those things are either really good or really bad, and especially in multiplayer that interaction gets exacerbated quite a bit. So like on kill effects on a boss fight, for example, when there's no ads, literally happens once right at the end of the fight when it doesn't matter at all, and they are completely useless in a fight like that. Compared to a boss fight where there's a ton of ads coming in all the time, suddenly it's unbelievably useful, and someone with an on-kill effect triggering will have a huge advantage over someone that doesn't. Now having different builds behave differently in certain boss fights is not a bad thing. But because it's so swingy, it's usually not great. So we're trying to steer away from them a little bit more, and also in multiplayer, it's another bit of a problem too. So it will work the same way it does in single player. Another way to do on-kill effects, and we do this already with Necromancer, is I'll bring the passives up after this and show you, but it's when something dies. So dies. Or gain on nearby death. So this one is just when anything dies near you. Enemy, ally, minion, anything. And so we can do effects like that where it would work for your allies killing things. And characters that care about like a death style archetype, like I would call it like the black cards in Magic, like the Necromancer style characters in our games. The like you know that like cares about things dying mechanic. You'd see those. Like you probably won't see that in a paladin, for example. And maybe you get like a vindication buff or something like that. Are you guys playing an Idols revamp before 1.0? No. We love where Idols are at. We've hit a few revamps for them. There's like rebalancing and tweaks and all that sort of stuff that happen all the time whenever a new skill comes out. Whenever like there's lots of stuff that there's lots of stuff that we we do to idols pretty frequently. Usually it's pretty minor stuff, so I wouldn't say a rework's in place. Hi Dark Swift, I knew this question was coming because I am where you are. I am everywhere. I am the night. No, you're wondering what I'm going to say to this? Here we go. It does require a shift to the HDRP. Simply upgrading to the new version of Unity does not make it work. We're not doing it. Not yet, at least. Sorry. Implementing it. Okay, I'll read the whole question. Now that NVIDIA has released DLSS 2.0 SDK free for all developers, including Unity 2021.2 beta native supporting it, when can we expect this in game? I've heard other developers implementing it within one day. The shift to HDRP and updating to Unity 2021 would require a couple months, likely, and huge amounts of stuff would go on hold at that time. So, not yet. Hey! I know some people haven't seen this before because I see it on the forums every once in a while. Send my minions away. There is a little Easter egg in the game where potions can drop as beer. There's also another one that potions can drop as instead of beer or health potion that I almost never see anyone talk about it, but it is possible. And they don't do anything different. It's just a funny name for them instead of whatever it is. It's the other thing. So if you find the other one that's not beer and not health potion, take a screenshot, go leave a post on Reddit or forums, something like that. I'd love to see it. Because I haven't seen one in a long time. I've worked with a guild of 300 Amish in New World. I can confirm it's amazing. I am very happy you got your Amish class. I'm glad it's working out great. When is the character screen rework you're doing coming? Not this patch, because it's still got a ways to go. Before 1.0, maybe at 1.0. Sometime between now and 1.0. But yeah, there's a big rework to the character selection screen coming. It's functional right now. We'll say that. It's not great. There's been lots of little upgrades to it over the last few years. Like the UI revamp that happened, got all the buttons and everything updated. It looks way cleaner. We got gear showing on there now, which is great, which gets better every time we add more gear that shows up. But there's lots of little things that we want to be able to do that really would more exemplify what's going on and just have it look nicer. Nemesis bracers. Yes, that is it. No idea why I couldn't remember that. Thank you. Don't make me fill out an application to work with you. I see those remote positions. Let me talk to Judd one-on-one. We'll restructure a few things. We'd have to recreate almost every asset in the game in order to switch to it. Like, it would take a long time. It's not impossible. We'd love to do it. We know there's huge advantages to it. But hey, if you know how to like make something that would auto-convert it and do it, yeah. Get in here, do it. Anything you can say about Lost Memories? Not really. We've changed what they're going to be like 8 times. Game elements evolve all the time. Like the Monolith of Fate's not what we initially set it out to be. It's really similar actually, because it's kind of funny. We started out building it. We had an idea, and we started out building it, and we're like, this is way too ambitious. So we changed our idea a whole bunch, and then we realized it might not be that ambitious. So we came back and re-implemented a lot of things that we decided weren't going to work, and it's come back to a lot of the things we originally wanted to have in there but couldn't, which is fantastic. But because we took that detour, there's a lot of things that we figured out along the way that we just learned that we wanted, and it's I think a lot better than our original idea, which is great. And most of those improvements come from feedback from you guys, honestly. Last Epoch remastered. There you go. Start working on it. Can you give us any details on the dungeon system, what those are going to be like? There's not really much to say about it yet. It's still pretty early in the design phase for it. We want them to be something that is an optional thing to do while you're leveling, an optional thing to do at end game, to sort of sit alongside monolith arenas. Also something that sits alongside the campaign. A way that you can, like, we've been getting a lot of requests recently for alternate leveling systems, because people don't like doing the same campaign over and over again, and right now there's not really much we can do to bypass that. But this should hopefully augment that a little bit, just to shake things up. So maybe you're doing a dungeon in one run but not in another. Maybe there's one dungeon you love and you do it a whole bunch. But yeah, it's hard to really give too many details on exactly how it's going to work and look and all sorts of stuff, just because it's not fully implemented yet. It's not at all implemented yet, really. I guess that's not true. There's a little bit started on it. Sounds like a challenge. I'll do my research. Yeah, if you can figure out a way to do it, I am all ears. I'm not sarcastic about that at all. What is the next Gates of Memorian endgame supposed to be about? I don't have a ton of details on that either. I mean, we're focused on finishing the monolith and getting that just perfect. Or not perfect, but you know, where we're happy to release with the monolith. We've got started on some other endgame stuff, but it is still pretty early in actual development. So stuff's still changing. I love that set too. Set's gonna get way better. It's not a terrible crafting base. Doesn't have the 2 melee physical, or like the 2 melee damage, like flat addeds on there, but yeah, I'll put that away. Vulcanist. Fun item too. Neither am I. Amish class, yes. DLSS, no. Very serious. What about also AMD Fidelity FX? Have you researched that? It's the same HDRP problem. That's like realistically, the HDRP problem is the only actual problem there. The other, like, yeah, converting everything to HDRP. We looked into that about 6 months ago, maybe a year ago now, to see if we could do it quickly and easily. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a bug where the fireball was pink. That wasn't because of that, but imagine that, but just literally everything. I think I missed one here. In a perfect world, does every class have at least one build-enabling item or converted skill that allows them to tap into every damage type? Say Bleed Dot for Mage or Cold Damage for Blade Dancer. No, I don't think so at all. I think that would kind of go against one of our main design pillars, which is class identity. We really want classes to feel distinct when you play them. So like we try and get as much diversity in each class as possible. So like there's hopefully like necromancer archetypes that use only one minion, but there's also necromancer archetypes that use 50 minions, you know? Like there's that those differences in the class, and to do that we do need to tap into a lot of those archetypes, and sometimes those need to be a little bit off theme. So for example, shaman, druid, I don't know who actually has it right now, but tornado has that fire tornado note. And the question I get asked pretty frequently is, why is there fire in there when there's no fire support anywhere else? And so we do like to get that diversity in there by sometimes putting off-theme nodes in every once in a while. But there's no void damage on druid. So, and there's no necrotic damage on druid. You know, like there's always holes. No one class can do everything, and that's really intentional, because there's always something that is sort of unique to each individual class. Like necromancers, I don't keep going back to necromancers here because that's just what I'm playing, so it's easy for me to reference quickly. Can actually sacrifice their own minions, it's the only class that you can actually delete your own stuff intentionally for a game, right? You can't on the Blade Dancer or on the Forge Guard. You can't like blow up your armor to like get some sort of bonus or something because it's off theme for that class. It's outside of its character identity. And then sometimes there are items that will sort of, and when we do want to give tools to sort of subvert that or push the boundaries of that a little bit more, we quite often will put that on items, right? So maybe there's a class that has almost no access to Ignite, Druid maybe, but has a ton of access to Bleed, and you want to go fire damage on it. Here's a perfect example of that right here, where these gloves can make that happen. There's almost no fire damage support in there, but you can take all of that bleed chance and convert it to ignite chance. So we like to keep them as like in the classes that are like only available to that class, keep them as distinct and unique as possible, but then have ways to kind of like break that a little bit here and there. Yeah. I think it's a great idea to help campaign out is if we were able to farm bosses for certain monster infrequent items that could be dropped as sets. Look at the set item classes. Set item class is going to be almost entirely overshadowed in terms of uniqueness and powered by exalts and new uniques coming. I mean, so currently sets are basically just uniques that have to work together. We treat sets and uniques the same. When we're looking at the list of them, they go in the same list together. They're fundamentally the same thing, just they have that restriction of you got to use them with another item to get the full potential out of them. But yeah, I hear what you're saying about uniques and sets kind of getting overshadowed by exalts. We have a plan that will make that any unique item that drops in the game has a potential to be very useful for someone. Clip that. Alright, on a positive note, still loving the beard, thank you. I noticed Zelda shield on the wall. Can you get a weapon or shield from last Epoch to show on the stream? I don't have any physical stuff from last Epoch apart from my shirt that I'm wearing and the game mat that I'm playing on, and a hat that's, you can probably see like a tiny bit of it up there. Yeah, it's the one in the corner, not behind my head. Oh, I opened my passives and I didn't actually use them. I need to get health, increase minion health. Health regen, armor, intelligence. I love more damage. I think we need a little more health though. I'm standing in the bazaar. How many shops estimate do I see? I have no idea. That's something that will vary wildly based on feedback and testing. I'm sure we'll try it with a very small number and a very high number, and it's going to be affected by lag and how many items are in shops and all sorts of stuff, like the duration between them resetting and things like that. I have no idea what that number is right now. I would love to be able to tell you, but that is something that's a dial we're going to turn very aggressively at first in both directions to try and find something that feels good. So somewhere between 1 and 5,000. Sorry for a horrible answer. How often do you get more options, different shops? Feel free to guess if you don't know. Yeah, same thing. Oh, we're getting some weird stuff on my screen on the OBS program here. Let me know if something terrible just happened. I hope not. that like the staging window for OBS is flickering like crazy. The output of what I'm actually showing apparently is fine, but like just my staging OBS window is just freaking out right now. I think the stream's good. The game window feels great. Please add a unique for Lightning Blast. Does Lightning Blast not have any uniques for it right now? I thought there was one that like converted it to cold because we have the oh my god. What just happened? Okay, wow. Boardman, thank you very much. That's amazing. Those Boardman has gifted 25 subs to the channel. Congrats to anyone who just got it. That's freaking phenomenal. You've gifted a total of 85 subs. That's so cool, man. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. Yeah, wow. Don't really know what to say, but thank you. Yeah, get those stars, everybody. Okay. There's gonna be a lot of sparkles going as I'm saying this. I'm still gonna get a new like thing that shows up instead of the default one. Rhymer, make me some visuals. You made other ones that are cool. Will you allow community cosmetics to be voted on and added to the shop similar to how Rust does it? That's a really cool idea. We haven't talked about that. I mean, we keep an eye on the forums in general, so if there's like someone who submits, I don't know, art for a cosmetic idea to the forums that we really like and maybe gets upvoted a whole bunch, it's not impossible that we might reach out to them and say, hey, do you want to sell the art to us or something like that, or you know, like let us use it for a MTX or some design. I don't know how that would work. I have no idea how that pipeline runs really, but yeah, we don't turn down good ideas. I don't know about us running like a competition or anything like that. That would be interesting too. I don't know. It's a cool idea. I like it. I don't know. I also don't know how Rust does it. I haven't played Rust in a very long time. When are we getting a shared Twitch or YouTube video, Aaron and I? I'd do it. I'd do it. I don't know. It'd be a while probably, but maybe when multiplayer goes up, we can run a little, do a dungeon together or something, you know? That'd be cool. I love this ding. Feels good every time. No, we don't have anything specific for Lightning Blast. Okay, at one point there was a unique in the works that caused Lightning Blast to shift to cold, similar to the passive mode. Oh, hey, got those gloves again. Triple stream with the three of us, yeah. I know I all the build videos. It's funny, like when I'm considering, or if someone asks for me for like build advice or anything like that, like I get questions every once in a while about like, oh, I want to run this, but I don't know what to do. I just send them to Boardman's YouTube channel because I'm like, he'll have better advice than I will. Is the multiplayer FAQ? In the multiplayer FAQ, it says that primalist pets can be revived by teammates. Yeah, it does. I think I remember seeing that. But how does that work thematically? For example, a necromancer reviving pets seem very anti-thematic to me. Would you say you're bending the rules for the functionality to exist? I think that maybe bending them a little bit. I can justify it a little bit if you want me to. So there's like the Acolyte and the Primalist have teamed up together, and the Acolyte empathizes with the Primalist and knows how strongly they care about their pets. So they'll help the Primalist out to keep them around. They're not undead things that are tools to be used in the pursuit of a goal. They are companions for adventuring. So the Primalist companions are extensions of the Primalist themselves. So by the Acolyte being in a party with the Primalist, she's also in a party with their companions. Little mental gymnastics, but we got there, I think, right? Hot tub stream for 1.0. It's funny, I didn't even know what hot tub streams were until someone asked me that on the stream here. And my response was like, buy me a hot tub first. And I'm like, I had no idea what I was saying at all. Oh, I would love a hot tub. Not right now. I mean, it's real hot out. I do love hot tubs. They're a lot of work apparently, and like you can get saltwater ones that are way less work, but like way more work in other ways. I don't know. It's weird. One of my like friends' parents got a hot tub, and like it's got controls. You can like control as they're like driving to the place that has it. They can like turn on the hot tub, and super jelly. One day I'll get to try it out. I'll take that as a yes. Mike, go to your PC. This time type in primalist model art and throw that on stream. Let's see what comes up. Primalist model in what channel is it? Concept art. Bunch of cosmetic stuff. Oh, this is old. It's from January. I was searching the wrong search term or in the wrong channel, probably. I didn't find anything useful, sorry. Or it's in the folder named Amish Surprise. Believe it or not, I don't have a folder named Amish Surprise. I'm sorry. Levitating scorpions, nice. Probably should have grabbed that increased experience trying at the start of this arena. That's one thing that is coming. So asking earlier about advancements to Monolith in general, we've been getting feedback regarding specifically arena echoes in the Monolith. About, I mean, some people really don't like them. Some people don't. They like them, but they don't. They like the idea of having them, but there could be a lot of improvements to those specifically. And we are adding improvements to the arena echoes. So there's different things coming. Those include like actually listing the number of waves you've completed versus need to go. So there's like a tracker for the arena, so you know how close you are to finishing it in the Monolith. That's something that we're planning on adding, and like some sort of indication that you're in an arena Monolith, because I know people have been they get into an arena echo in the Monolith and they don't know they're there, because you can actually tell that you're going into one. I'm pretty sure right here, isn't there? Yeah, Sanctuary Arena. So it does tell you that you're going into an arena echo. But still, like it's kind of subtle, and you don't really notice it most of the time. Yeah. Will you cosplay for Last Epoch? I don't know. I mean, I guess like would you? It was like who? I don't know who I'd cosplay at Last Epoch. That seems silly. I mean, and then I'm like, I guess I'd have to do the primalist, wouldn't I? Give me like 2 years to get in shape first, okay? Because the only thing they used for modeling for me the primalist was like this. He walks around without a shirt on a lot of the time. What will happen to passive points when new chapters coming out? I don't know if there's any new passive points. There might be new passive point quests, but there's similar to the way that oh, we just hit 5 o'clock. Well, this is gonna be the last echo. But I'll keep answering questions. So if you got any more questions, please hit them on me now, and I'll finish them off as the stream ends. What was I answering? Passive points, right? So with idle slots, for example, as you unlock, there's idle quests. So there's I think 9 idle unlock events, but there's I think 13 idle unlock quests. Could be wrong on those numbers. I'm sorry, but we're gonna do. I think the plan is to do the same thing for passive points. So if you if there's I'm gonna get this number wrong again. I think there's 15 or 13 unlocks, passive unlocks that come from the storyline. So there might be 20 quests that can do it, and if you complete enough of them to get all your passive points, you get all the passive points. So we might add more passive point quests, but not increase the total number of passive points you get out of the storyline. Something like that. I think that's the goal. Couldn't you just get a life-size cardboard cutout of the primalist and stand in front of it? Stand it in front of you? Yeah, get one of those things with like just like the face hole cut out, so I just stick my face through this like big cardboard screen. Why no pause option in the arena? I mean, there's no real pause option at all. Don't go back into one, Mike. You're done. I just get in the zone and I just go. Yeah. Oh, I had a little. I mean, this was on our Discord, but I'm gonna show the clip anyways. I think this is the right one. Is this the right one? Yeah. So this clip was on our Discord already, but if you haven't seen it, here it is. This is a little sneak peek at a new skill coming to Sentinel in the next patch. I don't think we even said the name of it. But this is the skill that I have talked about this skill previously on a stream before. So there you go. Last little teaser at the very end for you. But you may have already seen it. All right. I think that's it. I think we're done. Name the skill. Come on, Mike. Sorry, not gonna do it. You can make a skill name for it yourself, and we'll tell you what it is later. I think the preview for it's coming next week sometime, so you shouldn't have to wait too long for an actual like similar to the Void Cleave preview with a couple nodes to show some examples. Manifest Vengeance. It's not what it's called. All right. Thank you all for coming by. I had a fantastic stream. I hope you did too. We will see you next time. You've all been fantastic. We are going to go say hi to someone who's streaming us. There's not a lot of people streaming us right now. Because, there's something else happening in the world for the RPG space. But if you want to come with me and say hello to Solar Noble. Here we go.